Hello. Today I'm going to show you how an employee's performance impacts that employee during a RIF. Now, I always show you my research, and I do that for two very important reasons. One, because I want you to understand where get my information from, and I am not going to be someone that puts out alternative facts because alternative facts are just simply lies. A fact is a fact. Anything alternative to it is just simply untrue. For example, we have 7 days in a week. That's just a fact. If anyone tells you that we have 8 days in a week, that's just a lie. So I want you to always be able to see where I get my information from. And then I want you to be able to duplicate my research so that you can verify the information for yourself. If you see something different than what I see, or if I've made a mistake, by all means put it in the comment and we'll correct it. So let's get started. We are going to start our research at opm.gov. And the search engine, we're going to use the words reduction in force. And we are going to accept the first result that we see. The first result that we see gives us an overview of what a reduction in force is. And it tells us that the law provides that OPM RIF regulations must give effect to four factors in releasing employees. Those four factors are tenure of employment, which is a type of employment, is what that means, veterans preference, length of service, and performance ratings. Today, we're going to look at how the performance ratings impact an employee during a reduction in force. So we're going to go back to the search engine and we're going to add the words performance to the search engine. And we see that it gives us a different type of result. And we're going to take the second result here. This result tells us that agencies have greater flexibility in a reduction in force to assign retention credit for ratings in a competitive area where different summary patterns exist. And this article explains requirements and explores flexibilities in crediting performance. So it gives us a quick example. It says that agencies assign additional retention credit to an employee's length of service based on performance as reflected in the employee's three most recent ratings of record given during the 4 years prior to the reduction in force. In a competitive area where all of the credited ratings of record were given under a single pattern of summary levels, and what they mean is all given under a 5 level program or all given under a 2 level program. Agencies must compute the additional service credit by averaging the three most recent ratings of record given in the previous 4 years using the following values. Now, when they say that they must give an average means that they will take all three ratings and they will average them. You'll take the number of ratings plus the divided by the number. So it's three ratings. You add those three numbers up and you divide by three. For each outstanding rating, we see that the employee is entitled to 20 years of service. For each level 4, they're entitled to 16 years. And for each fully successful, they're entitled to 12 years. So the thing that I really want you to see here is the flexibilities. Now, the agency has to assign at least 12 years, but no more than 20. Whole numbers are only permitted, so once the average is computed, if it's a fractional number, the agency then has to round up, not down. They have to round up to the nearest whole number. They have to be consistent, and poor performance or anything less than a fully successful rating does not receive any additional service credit. And another thing that's very important to note is that the agency has quite a bit of flexibility in the numbering system. So the agencies may decide to retain the 12, 16, and 20 years of service, but they can also change that and say that the outstanding gets 15 years of service. They may also decide that different levels of service receive the same level of credit. For example, an agency may decide to assign 20 years additional service credit for a level 4 and a level 5. And when you see the initial example shows that the level 5 received 20 years and the level 4 received 16 years. So the agencies do have quite a bit of flexibility here. To illustrate how performance impacts employees during a RIF, we're going to look at two employees. The two employees are Sandy and Mandy. Now, Sandy and Mandy began their career on this exact same day and they do the exact same thing. They have the same position, the same tenure, the same length of service, and the same veterans preference. The only difference between the two of these ladies is their performance. Now, Sandy received 3 outstanding ratings, which adds 20 years each. So 20 times 3 equals 60. And because it's an average, we're going to divide 60 by 3. That will give Sandy 20 years added to her length of service, so she's not going to be impacted. But Mandy received an outstanding and 2 fully successful ratings. So the outstanding adds 20 years and each fully successful adds 12 years each. We add those three together, that gives us 44. Since it's an average, we're going to divide that by 3. That gives us a total of 14.67. We know that fractions are not allowed, so we are going to round to 15. So Mandy is going to be impacted by the RIF. Now, because employees that are impacted by a RIF, because the agency is required to find them another position, they're going to find Mandy another job. So let's say these two ladies work at the government office of widgets and they are the supervisors. So they're going to say, Mandy, we're going to find you another job. And instead of being a supervisor, now we're going to make you a widget maker. Mandy says, okay. She starts making the widget. And we know that she gets what's called pay retention. So she gets to keep her same pay as she did when she was a supervisor for 2 years while she's a widget maker. Now, if Sandy and Mandy had the exact same ratings, there has to be a tiebreaker. I don't know what the tiebreaker is. I was not able to find a tiebreaker rule. But this is basically how it works out for these two ladies. Before we recap, I want to give you some homework. And that homework is to make sure that you have a copy of every single personnel action that is in your folder and that you have a copy of at least the last 4 performance appraisals. Because as you see, that is what is used to determine your length of service based on your performance. And these individuals that are dismantling these government agencies, they don't know what they're doing. They may not even care to do it properly. So if your records end up missing, destroyed, what proof will you have what your last 4 performance ratings were? What proof will you have to show how long you've been in your position? None. So it'll be your word against theirs. A lot of these things are going to end up in court. A lot of these issues, from the way these government agencies are being dismantled, will end up in court or before some other type of magistrate if it's not a judge. So what can they do if you don't have any proof? So please make sure that you do that as soon as possible. Now, let's recap. When it gets down to performance, the agencies have a lot of flexibility in the way they assign the years of retention credit, but they do have to follow a procedure that is consistent. There, I'm sure, is a tiebreaker rule, but I don't know what it is. If you do know what it is and you can give me the information, I'll be happy to revise this video. Performance that is less than fully successful does not receive any credit. And if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, select the notification button so that whenever I post, you'll receive notification of it.